Hi, I'm Bob Jennings, coming to you from high in the Colorado mountains of northern Colorado, the Cache La Poudre Canyon, just west of Fort Collins on Colorado Highway 14. Many Americans love to think about retiring in places like this. Magnificent vista here where I grew up in western Colorado. You know, one of the things that we try to tie together in many of our discussions is some of the topics we talk about, such as Social Security. I recorded a previous topic about when you should take your Social Security benefit. Let's spend just a couple of minutes reviewing what it takes to get your benefit. Your Social Security benefit, your retirement check, is based upon the highest 35 years of earnings during your lifetime. So here's what happens. All of your earnings prior to you obtaining age 60 will be adjusted for an inflationary factor called a wage index. Once you hit age 60, the Social Security Administration will use your actual earnings from age 60 forward. And they're going to choose the highest 35 age-adjusted actual earnings that you have. So for example, if 30 years ago you earned $20,000, we're actually going to take that 20 grand, adjust it for the inflationary factor of 30 years provided by Social Security, and compare that to all of the other years that you have worked to see what is the highest 35. We then divide that 35 by that total earnings that you have in those highest 35 years by 420 to determine a number called the average indexed monthly earnings. That is what your benefit is based upon. There are numerous calculations related to that. The best benefit that you get to get your Social Security benefit is based, of course, upon the amount that you pay in during those high earnings years. There are things called bend points that we talk about in various Social Security books. Our Social Security book, for example, I get into more depth about that. But a bend point determines, do you get 90% of your earnings as a monthly check, or 32% of your earnings as a monthly check, or only 15% of your earnings as a monthly check? And a generic rule of thumb that I always try to pass along to everyone in planning is the ideal earnings amount to get your best return on the money you pay into the system in return for the benefit you're going to get back is to max out your average earnings at the level known as the top of the second bend point, which is approximately an average earnings of $55,000 a year after the inflationary adjustment for 35 years. If you can get as close to that number as you can, you're going to get the best return on the tax that you actually pay into the system. Of course, paying in more will get you a better benefit, but the tax that you're going to have to pay for paying in more does not get returned to you nearly as well because you're in what's called the third bend point. It does not get returned to you nearly as well as you do in the second bend point. The third bend point, you only get about 15 cents on every dollar of earnings as a return in benefit. Well, that simple reminder, your Social Security benefit is based on the highest 35 years of your inflationary adjusted earnings prior to age 60, plus your actual earnings after age 60. Choose the highest 35. That'll give you your number and a starting point for your earnings. Use as your goal $55,000 a year average. You're in great shape. You can exceed it. You're going to get a better check. Right now, the best monthly check most people can get is a little bit more than $2,500 a month if you paid in the maximum for your entire life. Again, I'm Bob Jennings. Look to our Social Security book or to our other books on financial advising. And until we talk again, thanks so much. I hope you get to visit a beautiful place like this. I highly recommend entering the beautiful vista of the Cache La Poudre Canyon west of Fort Collins, Colorado on Colorado Highway 14, off the beaten track. And if you've got time, go all the way to the top, to the Cameron Pass, go just over the pass, and make the trip, the hike to Lake Agnes, well worth your while. Lake Agnes, Cache La Poudre Canyon, Bob Jennings. See you again next time. Thanks, everybody.